These are the Little Orphan Annie comic strips for the week of November 23rd, 1925. We start with Annie and Sandy walking through a snowstorm. They're near a fence. Annie says, "Leapin' lizards, what a night! Nothing to eat all day and not even a barn to sleep in. I'm so tired and hungry I can't go much farther, Sandy, but I won't go back. I won't. They look inside a field where we have two cows underneath a haystack. Annie says, "Pretty soft. Look at those cows burrowed in under that straw stack, all nice and dry and warm. Gee, even the cows are better off than we are." Sandy chases the cows away, going, "Arf!" We finish with Annie sleeping underneath the haystack, nice and warm, hugging her doll, while Sandy stands guard, keeping the cows at bay. The next day, Daddy Warbucks finds her. He jumps out of his car saying, "Annie!" She says, "Daddy!" And Sandy says, "Arf!" In the next panel, all of them are inside the car. Daddy says, "So you had a feed last Sunday, eh? But nothing since? Great Caesar's aunt! No wonder you were stumbling all over the road when I first saw you. Well, we'll soon fix that, Annie. I know a place not 10 miles from here. We'll be there 'fore you know it." He drives her to a house. There's a sign that reads "Chicken Dinner." In the final panel, they are at a table eating a chicken dinner. Sandy's on the ground eating a bone. Daddy says, "Feeling better, eh? That's the girl. By the way, day after tomorrow's Thanksgiving. What do you say we run down to the silos a few days before we go home?" Annie says, "Oh, gee, Daddy, can we?" The silos are farmers. They're nice people that Annie used to live with. She left them towards the end of July to go move in with Daddy Warbucks. So they are driving up to the silos. Daddy says, "Well, Annie, here we are at the silos." Annie says, "Leapin' lizards, how things have changed." They are going in through the fence. Mrs. Silo says, "Oh, Byron, come here quick. It's little Annie and Mr. Warbucks and Sandy." Sandy says, "Arf!" Annie is running forward saying, "Hello, Mrs. Silo." In the next panel, they're inside the house. Daddy Warbucks is shaking Mr. Silo's hand, saying, "'Lo, Silo, how's things?" Mr. Silo says, "Sure tickled to see you, Warbucks. Mary and I've been hoping you and Annie'd come down for Thanksgiving." Mrs. Silo is giving Annie a big hug. She says, "Oh, you little darling." Annie is holding both of their hands, saying, "When I saw the new house and everything, I was afraid you'd changed too. But you haven't. You're just the same, aren't you? Gee, I'm glad." On Thanksgiving, they're all having a turkey dinner together. Annie says, "Now don't you go and overeat, Sandy." Mr. Warbucks says, "No wonder your husband is a happy man, Mrs. Silo. I've never eaten such delicious cooking in all my life." Mrs. Silo offers Annie a large piece of pie, saying, "You can have all the mince pie you want today, Annie. And there are 2 whole pumpkin pies in the kitchen that aren't cut yet." Annie leaves the room, yawning. Gee whiskers, I feel nice and full and sort of sleepy, I do." In the final panel, they're all sitting around a warm fireplace. Mrs. Silo is holding a sleeping Annie. She says, "You and Annie have made it a wonderful Thanksgiving for us, Mr. Warbucks." Mr. Silo says, "We sure owe you a lot. You've sure done a heap for us." Mr. Warbucks says, "We all have a lot to be thankful for, but I guess the greatest blessings we have are the little unspoiled youngsters like Annie, who are sent to this world to sort of make life worth living for all of us." On Friday, Annie and Sandy are going around the farm checking out all the animals. Annie says, "Gee, Sandy, I ate so much yesterday, I'm just getting so I can walk, but I sure feel swell." She feeds some sugar to a horse. She says, "Good old Ephraim. 'Member the time you dumped me off my head in the horse trough? We used to have lots of fun, didn't we? Like sugar same as you used to, don't ya?" She looks into the pig area, saying, "Looky, Sandy, little pigs. Gee, there's one looks just like Grunts used to. Wonder where Grunts is now." The pig Grunts returns in at the very start of the circus storyline. When Annie joins the circus, she sees Grunts the pig. So if you're really concerned about Grunts the pig, don't worry. He returns many, many months later in the strip. In the final panel, there is a cat that is going pss, pss at Sandy. Sandy just looks amused. And he says, "Hey, mustn't tease the kitty, Sandy. Why, you're the little kitten that somebody left here last spring. My, how you've grown, but what a temper." On the Saturday strip, Daddy Warbucks is walking around the property with Mr. Silo. Mr. Silo points at a building, saying, "Want to show you where the money you loaned me went, Warbucks. Every dime of it went into new buildings, fences, paint, and livestock. The only luxury we got was the new house, and I sort of figured Mary'd earned that." Mr. Warbucks says, "Nice-looking buildings, Silo." Mr. Silo says, "Things seemed to go better right after you gave us a hand. That storm didn't hurt the corn as bad as we thought, and the frost held off till it got ripe. Had a right good crop, and got it into the crib. Going to feed every kernel of it, too. No grain's going to be hauled off this place from now on." "Yes, sir, Warbucks. We were down and out, and you put us on our feet. Since then, everything's gone our way. I made some lucky deals in cattle since I saw you. Mary and I were talking it over last night, and we can pay back 4,000 of what we owe you." Mr. Warbucks says, "Wait a year, Silo. You'll need capital. Don't cramp yourself. And don't thank me. The dough alone didn't put you on top. It was yourself, see? If you'd been the kind of farmer who spends half his life bumping around in a tin automobile and the other half loafing in Simmons Corners, you'd be as flat broke now as you were when I met you first." And here's the strip for November 30th, which appeared in newspapers the following Monday. Mr. Silo is looking as Daddy Warbucks packs luggage into the trunk of his car. Mr. Silo says, "Wish you could stay a little longer. Hardly had a chance to visit yet." Mr. Warbucks says, "I'd like to stay longer, Silo, but you see I've been away nearly 2 weeks now, and nobody even knows where I am. I gotta get home." In the next panel, Annie is hugging Mrs. Silo goodbye. Mrs. Silo says, "You'll write to me, won't you, Annie?" Annie says, "You bet I will, Mrs. Silo. Real often, too." Annie is now in the car. Mr. Silo says, "Well, don't stay away so long next time." Mrs. Silo says, "Here's something for you, Annie." Annie says, "Oh, cookies!" They drive away. The Silos both say goodbye. Sandy says, "Arf!" Annie and Daddy Warbucks also say goodbye. That's where the Count de Tour storyline ends. Kind of. It's a nice, happy place to end the story, so it's a good place to finish with the Count de Tour book. In the following weeks of the comic strip, sad stuff happens. Daddy Warbucks goes home. He finds that his wife has left him. She's gone back to Europe, and the Count has stolen a lot of those secret maps and documents. So he's broke and doesn't have a wife. Daddy Warbucks is really upset for a while before deciding, well, he's got to go after the Count de Tour. He's got to get all of his money back. He's got to save his wife. And so he sends Annie off to live with a woman named Miss Sandstone. And it's basically a transition to the next storyline in the strip where Annie is living with Miss Sandstone. And that storyline lasts for several months until Annie... Well, I don't want to spoil what happens, but Annie eventually runs away from Miss Sandstone and joins the circus. So you can understand why people want to end the storyline of the Count de Tour here with this happy ending rather than going into the transition strips where Daddy's life is basically ruined and Annie is sent away. That is a much sadder ending to the storyline.